welcome to another brand new episode here on Britain's Farm. So I hope you're all well today and your day is going good. I've had an indifferent day, I'll say that much so far. So this morning I had to go to my little boy's harvest festival and went to church and had to wait for him at church while they did registration and different things. And anyway, that was all good. Coming back, obviously around the area a lot of people are sugar beet harvesting, potato harvesting and stuff like that. Forage harvesting as well for the power plants. So coming home, anyway, there was a lot of mud on the road and there'd been an accident. Basically what had happened was the traffic in front of me had stopped and I stopped and the car behind me was going a little bit too fast and hit the brakes, and because with the mud just slid across the road and anyway bumped into a car, thankfully not mine. Bumped into a car, bumped into a lamppost. Didn't really do a great deal of damage, but anyway, out of more curiosity than anything else, it was a little Mini Cooper, which you don't see many of them actually anymore around here, but yeah, the little Mini Cooper. And as I say, just sort of kind of out of curiosity, I get out and this lady gets out of the car and for the want of a medical term, she was a dwarf. I don't mean that in a sort of rude, disrespectful way, but she was a dwarf. Anyway, she got out and someone said to her, are you okay? And she went, I'm not happy. And I couldn't resist, and I said, which one are you then, Grumpy? Just, and I and I'm sort of standing there thinking in my head, going, you didn't just say that, did you? So yeah, got myself in a little bit of trouble, which is never good. Oh dear, and every time I sort of think of that, it makes me laugh. And yeah, I've told one or two people, that happened, and apparently they're not impressed with me. And my two ladies that check my videos, I said to them, oh, I'm thinking about telling this story in the video, and she was like, okay. So she was the story, so I told her, and she said, no, you can't say that. And I said, well, I'm saying it. I said, because it happened and it's funny. So and she was like, yeah, but you'll upset all the little people in the world. And I said to them, I just said to her, look, I said, at the end of the day, I said, I said, I'm ginger and I get a lot of stuff every day, sort of said to me and what have you. I mean, I can be waiting, in the playground from a little boy, and some of the dads sort of come over and go, I mean, I'm not ginger now because I've had my head shaved completely bald to try and rid myself of the curse that is the gingerness. But so it's not too bad at the moment, but when it sort of kind of grows again, it doesn't really go as hair anymore, it just goes as sort of bright orange fluff. But yeah, so and I said like loads of people say stuff to me every day, either about like my hair colour or my heart condition or whatever. Like I said, like loads of people take a mick out of me every day. I said, to be fair, I said it doesn't bother me, and they said no, it doesn't bother you, but it might bother someone else. And I said, but that's their problem, that's not my issue. I said I said at the end of the day, I said it's a funny story. I said I said literally I said it before I could stop my mouth from opening. I said, like, you know, and if people are upset by that, I said, then so be it, you know. I said, I can't help that they're offended. That's their problem. That's not my problem. I said, like, you know, it's a funny little story. It's a harmless story. I said, after about 20 minutes, even the woman saw the funny side of it, but, you know, not at the beginning. You know, in the beginning, I think she wanted to punch my lights out. But it was okay because I just held her at finger's length. But you know, I said, like, you know, you can't go through. But yeah, so that was that was a thing that happened this morning. So luckily, you know, it didn't hit my car, and the car that she did actually bump into, I couldn't see any damage. I mean, the bloke was making a huge fuss of it, but I'm looking at it, and don't get me wrong, like, his car was, you know, sort of a lot newer and a lot nicer than mine, but I'm looking at it, and he's going, oh, you can see it's all dented in, and like I say, there's like 3 or 4 of us that got out to make sure the lady's okay, because she hit the lamppost head on, and we were all sort of looking around, and lorry driver said to me, he said, I can't see no damage, am I blind? And I said, well, I must be blind too. I said, because I can't see nothing wrong with it either. I said, literally, there was like a colour mark where the blue bumper of the Mini had sort of rubbed on his, I can't remember if it was silver or white car, Mercedes, and like literally it left a little bit of colour transfer, and that's all it had left. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I said to him, I said, like, you know, that will rub off, you know. Yeah, I said, like, you know, a bit of tea cut or whatever, and that'll just rub off. I said, like, you know, that's nothing. I'm not being funny. That happens to me on a Saturday, very regular when I go racing. You know, people opening doors into my car. You know, so I go back, and sometimes I find my car's turned into a rainbow. There's that many colours on it, you know. But where people, as I say, have opened the doors onto it. But yeah. But anyway, yeah, that was what happened to me this morning. So, and that kind of follows on from what happened last night. So. Kind of friends with a girl, say that much, and went out, and we had quite a nice evening. It's the first time I've been out with her proper, and we had quite a nice evening. And anyway, and I'd bought some new boots. All right. Anyway, I've known the girl for a long time, right? Very long time, right? So she wasn't like a stranger as such. You know, I've known her for a very long time. I've known her since I went to school, actually. And anyway, we had a meal and, you know, what have you. And I said to her, I said, do you notice anything different about me? So she's sort of looking, and she says, no. So I said, something, you know, very obviously different about me. I said, you've commented in the past about this part of my body. I said, part of my dress code, if you like. I said, you know, surely you've noticed. And she's looking me up and down. She said, no, I don't know. So I said, never mind. Anyway, so she was like, well, tell me. I said, no, it doesn't matter. So anyway, we get a bit later on in the evening, and we're having a really good laugh, and, you know, really good joke, and, you know, a drink or two has sort of, you know, passed our lips. Non-alcoholic for myself, because, you know, I'm on a medicine cabinet full of tablets, so can't drink myself. But she was sort of knocking back the wines and, you know, other things, and she says to me, she says, you know, do you want to come back to mine for a couple of hours? So I said, yeah, you can do. So anyway, we get back to her as well. You know, coffee and music and, you know, different things. And of course, you know, naturally one thing obviously led to another. And anyway, I thought, fantastic. I thought, now I'll get to show her, and she'll notice. Because what I'll do is I'll take them off last. That's what I'll do. So I said to her, I said, do you notice anything now? You know, we're both virtually undressed. I said, do you notice anything different about me now? So she went, no. She goes, what are you going on about? I said, look, I said, look, I've done something that you suggested that I needed to do. She's looking, she's going, I can't. I said, look, I said, my dinky's pointing at it. So she goes, oh, she said, you got new shoes? I said, yeah. She goes, cool. And it's a pity you didn't buy a new hat. Which I just was one of the funniest things I'd ever heard in my life. It was that kind of sort of moment or comment that could have ruined the whole atmosphere, or it could have just set the whole atmosphere. And luckily, it set the atmosphere. It didn't ruin a kind of, sort of cozy moment that was about to pursue. It didn't ruin it. I did. This is one of the reasons why I like the girl, because she's as big a comedian as what I am. She's so quick-witted like me, and as I say, but as I say, that was very funny. So next time I see her, I'm going to buy a hat. Just go round there in a hat. So there you go. I've bought the hat that you requested. Will that help? So yes, it's been a sort of it's been normal 2 days really, but just two things that have happened in one in each day where it's been incredibly funny, and it just kind of sums up kind of me and my life really. That as I say, my mouth does often get me in trouble. I'm only messing about and joking, but not always do people sort of appreciate that or realise that. And then of course, you end up, that wasn't a very nice thing to say. I was only joking. I didn't mean it. I don't know. It's just the way I am. Everything that's happened to me in my life, and she says the same. Katie says the same. She says everything that's happened to me in my life, James, said all I do now about everything is laugh about everything, and I said that's all I do. I said because what's the point? I said otherwise. I said I spent many years being depressed because I used to think about it and be really upset. I said, and then just one day I just kind of woke up and just thought, actually, if I started laughing about this crap, I wouldn't worry about it nowhere near as much, and I probably wouldn't even think about it as much, and that's what I started to do. I started to laugh about everything, and as I say, like she's just the same as me, she's very quick-witted and very comical, and as I say, that's one of the reasons why I do actually like her. But I don't think anything will ever come of it, if I'm honest. As I say, we've known each other years, and we've sort of occasionally had nights like last night, where we've gone out and then sort of what have you. But overall, I mean, she, in the past, I've sort of said to her, why don't we get together? Like, we like each other, and she's like, yeah, we do like each other. I think you're brilliant. So I was like, well, then why not? Because I quite like what we have. She said, like, we sort of dip in and out, from each other. She said, no, I really like that. She said, because it means we remain friends, but at the same time, not only are we friends, we're able then to sort of do, the other stuff, so as I say, she's as I say, she's very, very, very quick-witted, but yeah, as I say, just two little stories that happened to me. As I say, one last night and then one this morning when I was coming back. But in terms of the mud on the road, actually, I get this a lot, and of course, a lot of the people in the, sort of involved this morning were, oh, bloody farmers, the mud on the road, and they should be made to clear it up, and this, that, and everything else. So, from what I understand, from the time that I worked on the farm, the first farm that I worked on, if we put mud on the roads, we used to put a sign up. And one day I was putting the sign up, I was on the teleporter, I was going where we were working, and I was putting the mud on the road signs up, and the policeman stopped. And he said to me, he said, "What are you doing?" So I said, "Well, I'm clearly putting a sign up that says mud on the road." So he says, "Yes, but why are you doing that?" And I sort of looked at him and I said, "Well, because there's mud on the road." I was like, the clue is in the bloody sign, I've got to be honest, and the fact that there's all this, sort of mud and crap and everything all over the road, there's a fairly biggish clue there as well. I was like, Jesus, And he said, "So you're admitting responsibility to it then?" So I said, "What do you mean?" So he said, "Well, the fact that you've put a sign out," he said, "tells me that you're admitting that you did that." So I said, "Well, it wasn't me personally." I said, "But it's the farm that I work for. I said, it's come off our tractors because it's come from our field." I said, which is just there. So he said, "Yeah," but he said, he said, "All right then." He said, "I'll word it differently. As a farm, you're taking responsibility for that mud. You're admitting that you've done that." So I said, "Well, yeah." I said, it's hard for us not to and there was a tractor coming out at the time, and because it was flinging mud off and everything, and some went on the police car and they weren't very happy and what have you. And I said that, hence the reason why I'm putting out the sign. And so he said, "Okay, because if there's an accident now," he said, you will now be held accountable for that because you've admitted that it's you that's done it." He said, "If you don't put the signs up and there's an accident, the person will say, 'Oh, the tractor's brought the mud on the road,' and then we would say, 'Well, okay, but especially if the tractors are no longer in the field. It's a bit different if the tractors are in the field, but if which the tractors this morning weren't in the field, they'd obviously finished the field, and it obviously all come out onto the road at the same time, and it had laid quite a thick layer of mud, and yeah, the policeman said, he said, if you take those signs down, you can't be held accountable from us and from insurance companies, because anyone could have gone into that field and brought that mud out. It wasn't necessarily your farm; it could have been anybody." And so that that's what I did. And because I said to him, I said, "Well, actually, what I've got am I by law required to clean all of my wheels before I come out?" And he said, "Not really, no." He said, he said, "We would like it if you did, but it's not always possible." He said, and so, for all the people out there that do kind of, sort of grumble about tractors and the wheels and the mud and everything else, there's been a few cases where the mud signs have been up and the farmers have been sued, and successfully been sued as well. And now farms don't do it. You very, very, very rarely see now mud on the road signs around where I live, just because if they don't put the sign up, then nothing happens. Nothing happens to them, especially if they're gone. If they've left the field. So, but yeah. So, and yesterday actually as well, I saw a very funny thing, which was, well, it wasn't. Well, it was funny. It was funny and very unlucky at the same time. So I was driving home from dropping my son off at school, and as I was sort of driving along, I was following a lorry, and the lorry had the curtain open on the right hand side of the lorry, and and I'm following him thinking, that's a bit dangerous, because the curtains open and what have you, and it was sort of flapping about, it hadn't been tied back or anything, it was sort of flapping about. And I thought, if that had been on the other side of the lorry, it could have been a cyclist or a pedestrian or whatever, and it clip them around the ear and it'd do a bit of damage, it'd hurt, So I was thinking, well, that's a little bit irresponsible really of the driver. Anyway, we're going a bit further down the road and he hits an almighty pothole, and I mean almighty pothole. And of course this curtain then sort of breaks free from the rails that it was clearly in, even though it was flapping out, but it was clearly in a rail for them to pull them, sort of from one end of the lorry to the other. And it comes out, and of course as it's come out, this police car's been going by, and it's like hit the side of the police car. It's only sort of brushed it, but it has hit the side of the police car. And the police car puts his lights on, sirens on, well, lights on, and puts his lights on, and the lorry driver sort of gets out, and because the road's blocked now, and I'm sort of having to sit behind them, and I'm sort of sat there, and the copper's having a right go at him, and I was thinking of all the cars in the world that could have happened to you with. It had to happen to a bloody police car, and now you're getting in trouble for it. But it was a bit irresponsible, to be fair, because, as I say, it was just flapping about in the wind, and it's not really on that, because obviously he was stopping because the lorry was going very slow, so he clearly was lost. He clearly didn't know where he was. There was a few factors, I think, going on. Blimey, I've done that straight. That's pretty good for freehand drilling, isn't it? Crikey. So he'd done that, and it had happened right on a police car, and it was very, very unfortunate. And so I just thought I'd share those little brief stories with you. I like doing stuff like that, as you know. I like to sort of share things that I see, hear, and do. And I just thought, especially the first two little stories, they were honestly very, very funny. But this morning, like when I went, well, which one are you then? No, I went, are you grumpy? Her face. Her face, honestly, it was amazing. It was a picture of bloody. Honestly, it was kind of. The thing was, it was kind of sort of shocked that someone had said it, but at the same time, I don't know, in her eyes, you could almost kind of sort of see that she was sort of laughing a little bit, and I was, and as I say, like after about sort of 15-20 minutes or so, I was like going to get back into my car, and because everyone was okay, and sort of the police had turned up and what have you. And as I'm sort of walking back across the road to get into my car, she came over and said, she said, "I'm sorry I swore at you," and I said, "That's fine, don't worry about it." I said, "That was a bit of an insensitive thing to say." I said, but I said, "I'm that type of person." I said, I said, where funny things that I'll just say it, and then I sort of afterwards think, "Oh, I perhaps shouldn't have said that." I said, "But I only meant it as a bit of fun. I didn't mean it, against you in any way." And she went, she goes, "It was hilarious." She said, "Honestly," it was hilarious. She had the timing and the quickness that you came out with it at. She had very, very good. She had it was very funny. So I said, "Really?" So she was like, "Yeah." She goes, "Honestly," she goes, "It's very funny." She goes, she said, "I'll enjoy that more tonight when I'm." Or she said later today when I'm having a coffee and a biscuit. She said, I'll think about that and enjoy that a bit more, I think." She said, because she said that was very, very quick. She said, very, very funny. She said, because it's something that I've not actually heard before. So I was like, I go, "Oh, well, there you go then." So in the end, she was, and that's kind of, I think, why I'm okay with telling the story, because she was okay. She sort of said, it was very, very good. And but it was just the quick-wittedness, and then, as I say, last night, Katie with the boots, that was very funny. And she, it was just, as I say, very good. Put the auger in here, because otherwise we're going to donk a telegraph pole, and I've done that in real life before as well. Again, first farm I worked on, so I'd been working there about two or so years, and they were starting to kind of, I was building experience obviously, and starting to get to a point where I was sort of I was becoming sort of a decent all-round tractor driver. And anyway, one day we was combining, and the guy that I worked with had years before, sort of a few years before I started there, he'd had stomach cancer or something like that, and because he'd had most of his bowel taken away and what have you, and his stomach and stuff, and because it had left him with a bag. And one day, this particular day, we were combining. He was the combine driver, and I mean, he had a phone. He never ever used it ever. Like, and I mean, never used it. Like, I genuinely mean that, not only to me, to the, sort of to the boss man, but also to his family. His wife used, because sometimes she would come up in the evenings and have a ride on the combine and that with him, and she said, she goes, he's terrible, honestly. She said, he never uses it, he never answers it. And I said, no, I've rung him a few times and he's never answered it. So she said, it's a waste of time. So I was I agree with that. And anyway, this particular day, I'm sitting in my tractor, I'm having I'm having my cup of tea, my afternoon sort of cup of tea, and a packet of crisps or whatever, and my phone goes, and I answer it, or not answer it, and it was John, who I work with, and he said, I've got a big problem, I've got to go. So I said, okay. I said, are you all right? He said, yeah. He said, I'm fine. He said, but I've got a big problem. He said, I've got to go. So I said, okay. So he said, can you ring the boss for us? He said, and just tell him that I've got to come back. So I said, yeah. So anyway, off he, because we always had the truck in the field. Obviously, just in case something did go wrong with, with him, and so we always had the truck in the field. So he sort of parks up in the truck. So I sort of tell, the boss man, and I said to him, what do you want me to do? So I said, should I just sit here, or I said, I've got one load in the trailer already. I said, do you want me to come back and empty it so that I'm sort of, empty again for when he starts again? And he's like, no. He goes, jump on the combine. He said, and just carry on. He said, until he gets back. He said, you'll soon have the other tractors and trailers coming back anyway. So he said, he said, but if there's no one in the field, obviously just keep filling up your trailer until your trailer's full. Just do that sort of thing. Just do your best. So, okay, fair enough. So gets in the combine. Anyway, I'm sort of working away, and eventually he comes back. The tractors and trailers are sort of been into the field, and I've been emptying and what have you, and my trailer was full, but as I say, the other tractors and trailers were getting back in time to for me to unload. And anyway, John gets back, and he sort of comes to the combine, because I go to get off the combine, because obviously he's the combine driver. He says, no. He said, you sit there. He said, you sit there. He said, you're having fun. He said, you sit there. So I was like, okay. Well, after I unload, I always put the auger in. Well, one of the other tractors was back again, so we had 4 tractors going, because we were quite a long way from the farm. But as it was, I think 2 probably would have been enough if everything went smoothly all the time. But 3 was definitely enough. 3 was sort of definitely enough. And they say the tractors were getting round, and things, were sort of going okay. Anyway, I'm sort of driving along. The lights go on, so I put the auger out, obviously, and the tractor and trailer draws alongside, and we unload. And he's sort of chatting away to me, and this, that, and you want to do what you want? No, you want to slow down, and sort of like, but it's it's all fun, and do you know what I mean? He's trying to help, so I'm sort of listening to what he says, because it's always good to listen, and anyway, so we're sort of doing this, and we unload, and of course he's still yattering away to me. Well, of course I've unloaded, and I don't know, I sort of, I mean, it's quite a few years ago now, but I can't remember whether I thought I'd done it, or I thought I'd pressed the button, or whether I just completely didn't press the button, and sort of what have you. But I was going along the field, and we was coming up to some telegraph poles, and of course I should have looked out the window, because that would have told me everything that I needed to know. I should have looked out the window, out the door, but I didn't. You know, as I say, he was chatting away to me. I was sort of looking down at the header and the reel and what have you, because the crop was laid, and I was sort of concentrating on that, listening to him, and because we're driving, and all of a sudden I hear this huge, great big sort of thud, and instantly knew I'd just smacked the auger into a technical pole. It was like, as soon as I heard the noise, I knew what I'd done, and yeah, I sort of, it didn't break it completely off, but there wasn't much holding it on, I'll say that much. And yeah, I got in which so he told me off whilst we were in the field there. He told me off, and then as I say, the boss man then sort of has to get told, or I had to ring him and tell him what I'd done, and so I got an absolute rollicking from him as well. Felt bad, I tell you. And then because the other two that were on the tractor trailers were like harvest help that we used to bring in, so they were 2 foreign students, and when we got, because the combine was out of action for the rest of that day while they put the auger back together, and the next morning when I got into work, I got told again in sort of kind of no uncertain terms, and all I got told was, you're not on a tractor and trailer today, you're on the plough today. Do you think you can manage that without breaking anything? I was like, jeez. Get over yourselves, it's only a 15 grand auger. So I went, yeah, I can manage that. So he goes, oh good. He goes like, yeah, hopefully you won't break nothing today. I was like, all right. I said, exactly do it on purpose. But yeah, so that was my sort of. When I went to the second farm, I didn't get to go on their combine no more, which I can understand. But on the second farm, so we had like so we had 2 sort of main combine drivers. We had 3 combines altogether, and then we had sort of 2 or 3 floater combine drivers, so that one of us could drive the 3rd combine. But obviously there was still 2 other combine drivers should they be needed elsewhere. And so what we used to do was I was a floater combine driver, and what we used to do was every day of the 3 of us that were the floaters, we would drive. So each day one of us would drive the 3rd combine. So every day, so say Andrew would drive it on the Monday, me on the Tuesday, and then I can't remember the other bloke's name, and then he would drive it on the Wednesday, and then it'd and we'd go around, so each one of us would get to drive it, and sort of it'd have a different driver of the 3 of us each day. And yeah, so that so I did get to do some combining. And then the other 2 combine drivers were both spraymen, and they were also both heavily involved in the potato. So when the potato started, usually around about anywhere from sort of the 1st to the 5th of August, then if there wasn't much ploughing for me to do, then I would then drive the 3rd combine sort of all the time. And then as soon as the ploughing would come in, or subsoiling or anything like that, mole ploughing, so I used to do that as well. Didn't do that very often, but that was part of sort of the remit of my job, if you like. So but as soon as I say, ploughing or whatever came sort of needing to be done again, then I would come off the combine. The farm manager would then go on the combine, and I would go off ploughing. So, and I used to sometimes as well go off and do like veg carting for other farms, or if we were short of potato cart drivers, then I'd go off and do some potato carting for us. But yeah, so yeah, anyway, it's been a bit of a chatty video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I just thought I'd share those couple of stories with you, because I just thought they were really funny. But as I say, I hope you've enjoyed it. If you haven't done already, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Share the videos also. And don't forget, it's always free to subscribe. It won't cost you a single penny. So it really helps me out. and it also alerts you that every time I drop a video, which hopefully, as I've said before, we will get back to do them every day. It's, as I say, next week is half term, and because of all the meetings, I haven't had a chance to get in front. So I don't know about next week, but the week after we should start again as normal. The meetings look like they're slowly kind of thinning out now, so I'm hoping it won't be sort of every other day or whatever, as we're slowly getting things sorted, because there's a lot to sort. But yeah, anyway, thanks ever so much for watching. Really enjoyed having your company, and I can't wait to see you on the next video. Bye for now.